Dawn over Tarawa Lagoon. The 20th of November, 1943, 5:47 a.m. The 20th of November, 1943, Tarawa Atoll, Baishio Island. The Pacific sky is still black when the first Higgins boat drops its ramp into the blood-warm water. Salt spray stings your eyes. Diesel fumes choke the air. Inside the cramped LCVP, 36 United States Marines clutch M1 Garands to their chests, knuckles white, praying the engine doesn't stall again. On the beach, 500 yards ahead, Japanese Lieutenant Colonel Kaido Shimizu stands behind a coconut log bunker, binoculars pressed to his face. He sees the strange American boats, flat-nosed, ugly, almost comical, and actually laughs out loud. Those boxes will never reach the reef, he tells his staff officer. They'll ground 200 meters out. Our machine guns will slaughter them in the water like pigs. Behind him, hundreds of Type 92 heavy machine guns and 37 anti-boat guns are already loaded, barrels trained on the coral shelf. The first wave of Higgins boats churns closer. Engines roar. They look slow, clumsy, laughable. Then, without warning, the lead boat, LCVP Paula 19er, commanded by coxswain Samuel B. Moody, hits the reef edge and keeps going. The flat bow rides up and over the coral like it isn't even there. The ramp crashes down with a metallic scream. 36. Marines explode out of the boat in 4 seconds flat, charging through knee-deep water, rifles up, screaming like devils. Shimizu's laughter dies in his throat. One after another, the ugly boxes slam onto the sand and vomit men straight onto the beach. No pause, no waiting, no exposed slog through the chest's deep water. In 30 seconds, the impossible has happened. The first wave is already behind cover, firing back. Shimizu drops his binoculars. His hands are shaking. He has just watched the entire Japanese defense plan collapse before the first shell lands. And the Higgins boats are only getting started. The boat that should never have worked. New Orleans, 1941. Cut to 2 years earlier. New Orleans, late summer, 1941. The air is thick with sawdust and the smell of cypress. Andrew Jackson Higgins, cigar clenched between teeth, stands on the muddy bank of Lake Pontchartrain watching his latest creation slice through the water. It's ugly as sin, 36 feet long, plywood sides, a blunt spoon-shaped bow, and a ramp that drops like a drawbridge. Naval officers in crisp whites shake their heads. Too slow, too shallow. Marines will drown before they reach shore. Higgins just grins. Boys, this ain't a boat. This is a bridge that floats. He built it for Louisiana swamp trappers who needed to run right up onto mud banks and unload cargo without getting stuck. Now he's showing the United States Navy how to land an army on a hostile beach in seconds instead of minutes. Rear Admiral Husband E. Kimmel watches the test. A company of Marines piles in at the dock. The boat backs off, turns, accelerates. It hits a simulated reef, rides clean over, ramp drops. 36 men are on enemy soil before the Admiral finishes his cigarette. Kimmel exhales smoke and says the words that will change the Pacific War. Jesus Christ, Higgins says. You've just invented the boat that's going to win this damn war. Back in the present, Tarawa, the 20th of November, 1943. Wave after wave of those same hated, ugly boxes are proving Kimmel right. The Japanese had spent 2 years turning Baishio into what they called the Gibraltar of the Pacific. Every gun positioned to murder men forced it to wade hundreds of yards in the open. But the Higgins boat laughs at their plan. Another LCVP surges forward. Coxswain guns the engine. Bow lifts. Ramp slams down. Marines pour out firing from the hip. One Japanese machine gun crew watches in frozen horror as the boat lands 20 yards to their left. Ramp drops, and a flamethrower team is on them before they can traverse the gun. In the first 10 minutes, the impossible becomes routine. The beach that was supposed to take days falls in hours, and somewhere in hell, the ghost of every Japanese defense planner is screaming. But the real nightmare for Japan is only beginning, because Higgins didn't just build a boat. He built thousands. The island-hopping massacre machine from Saipan to Iwo Jima. The 14th of June, 1944, Saipan, Red Beach 2, 8:12 a.m. Vice Admiral Chuichi Nagumo, the man who once commanded the Pearl Harbor Strike Force, stands on a cliff overlooking the landing zones. He's already pale. He knows what's coming. Below him, over 700 Higgins boats form a solid black line across the horizon. Not dozens, hundreds. The first wave hits the beach at 40-second intervals. Ramp down. 36 Marines out. Ramp up. Boat reverse is gone. Next boat already in its place. Japanese defenders fire everything they have. 75 guns, 37 rapid-fire cannons, knee mortars, Nambu machine guns. But the boats are too fast. By the time a gun crew reloads, the men who are in their sights are already in the tree tree line, flanking them. A single company of the 2nd Marine Division lands 800 men in under 9 minutes. 9 minutes. Nagumo watches an entire battalion vanish from the water and reappear behind his coastal defenses like ghosts. He turns to his aide and says a sentence no Japanese admiral ever wanted to speak. They are inside the fortress before we can close the gate. Fast forward 8 months. The 19th of February, 1945. Iwo Jima, D-Day. The beaches are volcanic ash that swallows boots like quicksand. The reef is worse than Tarawa. Japanese General Tadamichi Kurabayashi has spent a year turning the island into a death trap. He believes no landing is possible here. Then the Higgins boats come again. This time they've been modified. Steel plates welded to the bow, extra prop guards, even some fitted with rocket launchers. They grind over the ash terraces, ramps drop directly onto the black sand, and the Marines charge uphill before the first shell crater cools. Kurabayashi's carefully planned killing zones become irrelevant. His men die in their bunkers because the enemy is already past them. One captured Japanese officer, Major Yoshitaka Hori, later writes in his diary, "We laughed at their ridiculous boats. Then the rams fell and the laughter turned screams. The war ended for us the day those boats touched sand." By war's end, over 14,000 Higgins boats will have been built. They will land men on every major beach from Guadalcanal to Okinawa. And every time a Japanese commander sees that blunt bow and dropping ramp, he already knows the island is lost. But there's one final cruel twist Tokyo never saw coming. The day even the emperor admitted defeat. Okinawa, the 1st of April, 1945. The 1st of April, 1945. Okinawa, Hagushi Beaches, 8:30 a.m. The largest amphibious assault in Pacific history begins. 1,800 Higgins boats, LCVPs, LCMs, and every variant, stretch across 10 miles of ocean like a moving city. Emperor Hirohito's military advisors have assured him the beaches will be another Tarawa-style bloodbath. They are wrong. At H hour plus 6 minutes, over 50,000 American troops are already ashore. By noon, the 10th Army has landed more men and equipment than the entire Japanese garrison on the island. Vice Admiral Minoru Ota, commanding the naval base defenses, radios Tokyo one final message before cutting communications. The enemy landing craft are no longer boats. They are an endless wave that cannot be stopped. In Tokyo, the Imperial General Staff watches the reports come in. Beachheads secure in hours, not days. Airfields captured intact. Supply lines flowing like rivers. For the first time since 1941, the room falls completely silent. Then Admiral Matomi Ugaki, commander of the kamikaze forces, speaks the truth no one wants to hear. Gentlemen, the Higgins boat has made our entire island defense strategy obsolete. We can bleed them, we can slow them, but we cannot stop them from landing anywhere they choose. He closes his folder and adds quietly, "The war at sea is over. The only question left is how many of our sons will die before we admit it." 81 days later, Okinawa falls. And 2 months after that, 2 atomic bombs will finish what Andrew Higgins started. Because long before the Enola Gay ever took off, a cigar-chomping boat builder from New Orleans had already delivered the death blow to the Japanese Empire, one dropped ramp at a time. But there's one last image that will haunt every surviving Japanese officer for the rest of their lives. The photograph that broke an empire. Iwo Jima, the 23rd of February, 1945. The 23rd of February, 1945. Mount Suribachi, Iwo Jima. 10:37 a.m. The flag goes up. Joe Rosenthal's camera clicks once. The most famous photograph of the war is born. But look closer, just past the flag raisers, down on the beach below. Hundreds of Higgins boats lie side by side like beached whales. Ramps still down, engines cooling in the black sand. Marines stream out of them in perfect order, carrying crates, rolling jeeps, dragging 37mm guns. No chaos, no slaughter, just the quiet, relentless rhythm of victory. In Tokyo, when Japanese intelligence receives that photo days later, the censors try to crop the boats out. They can't. Every print shows the same thing, the ugly little boxes that laughed at every fortress, every reef, every carefully planned killing ground. Admiral Isoroku Yamamoto once warned that Japan could run wild for 6 months, perhaps a year. But after that, he had no hope. He never lived to see the Higgins boat. If he had, he would have known the 6 months were up the moment the first ramp hit Guadalcanal. Andrew Higgins himself never saw combat. He died in 1952, still building boats in New Orleans. But at his funeral, a Marine Corps honor guard stood silent beside the casket, and every Marine there knew the truth. Eisenhower won the war in Europe with tanks and men. In the Pacific, a cigar-chomping civilian From Louisiana wanted with plywood, a flat bow, and a ramp that dropped in 4 seconds. Because when history looks back at how empires fall, it remembers the bomb, the battleships, the heroic charges. But the men who were there remember something simpler. They remember the metallic clang of a ramp hitting sand. They remember 36 brothers charging out screaming. And they remember that the moment that sound echoed across a beach, the island was already American. The Higgins boat didn't just carry Marines. It carried the end of the Japanese Empire, one impossible landing at a time.